here today. This is August 6th of 2024. This is our 7 o'clock Board of Education meeting. We're going to begin by indicating who's here. Julie, can you go ahead and go first?
Julie Jackson.
Kim Chandler.
Connie Burgess.
Kristen.
Clark Nelson.
Todd Huber.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm Ben Horsley.
Nicole McDermott. All right. We're going to go ahead and start by first recognizing any visitors that we have from our PTA. Let's start with PTA. Anyone? Oh, both of you. Tell us, shout out who you are so everybody knows who you are.
I'm the region director. Region 5 PTA director.
I'm Liz Shellum. I'm the new advocacy lead.
Nice, thank you. Thank you for being here. GEA. I know we have several.
Michelle Jones, president. Jessica Dunn, executive director.
Thanks for being here, you guys. GAEOP.
Dana Reese, president.
Thanks, Gaina. And GESPA? No GESPA. Middle managers? Granite Education Foundation?
Carrie Johnson, board president, and our administrative assistant, Christy Green.
Thanks for being here, you guys. And elected officials. I didn't see anybody, but I might have missed anybody. Might have missed somebody. Okay. All right. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you all joining us. We're going to go ahead and start with our Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to invite Mandy Chappell, who's the principal of GTI, to come up and lead us in that.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mandy. And we're going to turn the time over to Kim, as I have asked her to share Reverence with us today.
Thank you, Nicole, for this opportunity. In considering what I wanted to speak about today, I couldn't help but reflect on things going on around us. Big news things like attempted assassination of a former president as one example. Fortunately, assassination is a vice that many, though sadly not all, can still agree is an evil. As a foundational and integral part of the structure of this nation, those who don't agree with that still have the freedom, as they should, to share their opinions, even if someone else finds those opinions reprehensible. This concept is integral to the notion of liberty itself. Without freedom of speech, we have no liberty and are not a free nation. Regrettably, in many cases, this freedom of speech and freedom to disagree with others, and particularly with our government, has seemed to be under serious attack, and government actions are being taken that erode personal liberty. So it is this concept of liberty as a governing principle that I wanted to speak about today. Because public schools are government, period. Recently, I've read several accounts of survivors of present-day communist regimes. One of those is the story of Yeonmi Park, a North Korean refugee and defector. According to Ms. Park, in 80 years, about 209 North Koreans have made it to freedom. In 80 years. Yeonmi Park is one of them. She has an amazing story, and I cannot cover it all here, but I strongly encourage you all to read her book or to listen to her speak. I heard a speech that she gave recently at Utah Valley University, and as she started out, she said, "I get nervous every time I speak, but I tell myself something that helps me calm down. One thing, it's that even if I say something really stupid, at least I'm not going to get executed at the end of the day." Perhaps a way to break the ice, this is nevertheless the sad truth of life in a place like North Korea today. Ms. Park spoke of the fact that her mother taught her not to even think things that went against the government narrative. That's how much risk different viewpoints posed. In the United States, we should be very different from this. And in many ways we are, but if we each ask ourselves personally and answer honestly, in how many cases have we been willing to see another person suffer for their opinions and views? In her recent speech, Ms. Park also described conversations she's had with friends in New York who, quote, want socialism so badly. These friends tell her, Look outside, there are billionaires and there are homeless people. Capitalism creates inequality, therefore it's evil. But her response was, quote, "You mean that you can be a billionaire? If I work hard like Steve Jobs, create an iPhone, or like Elon Musk creating rockets, you mean that I can be a billionaire? What a concept. What a thing to celebrate, that you can rise up, that you don't all need to be equally poor and starving together. Inequality is not a sign of oppression, it's a sign of progress," end quote. I have to agree with her. There's a lot of talk about equality and equity in education. We want everything to be fair and everything to be equal. We don't like it when people in one area visibly have more possessions, more success, more whatever it is than some in another area of our district. We can view this as unfair and maybe even immoral, and as government representatives, we may be tempted to want to eliminate those unequal outcomes and displays. The problem is that the only way to do that is to remove freedom. The truth is, liberty results in inequality, because liberty necessarily includes the freedom to fail. Having the freedom to come and make choices, even bad choices, and to learn from them. That's one of the purposes of this life. That is how we grow. Liberty allows for opportunity to grow and to thrive. It's the only system that does that. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said it well. Human beings are born with different capacities. If they are free, they are not equal. And if they are equal, they are not free. These concepts are critical because they impact what we do as a school district and the way we see our role in educating students. As such, I believe that as board members and as a district, everything we do, every policy we approve, every program we implement should be evaluated through the lens of government protecting personal liberty. Are our actions ultimately stifling individual liberty or promoting it? And it is my hope that we will always err on the side of liberty. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Well spoken, Kim. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and move on to our Good News Minute, and we'll start with Julie Sencher online.
Thanks. I wanted to talk about how exciting it's been to get everybody moved into Skyline High. We're just so thankful for all the many people. When I think about the many people that it takes to create a new high school, it's astounding from the ways that taxpayers sacrifice in order to help build these schools for everyone to be able to go to the professionals, the contractors, and things like that who built, from the community who has been so thoughtful and has worked so hard and donated so many hours of their time, to our educators and the expertise that they've put into making sure that our school is safe and is a good environment for instruction. I'm so thrilled about it, and my community is, and I wanted to just make sure to express that here on behalf of my Skyline community today. I also wanted to say that it's been really exciting to talk with principals this last month about their continual improvement plan, and it's important, I think, for our community to understand that every single school has a continual improvement plan that is based upon data and great thought, that's built by the leaders of the school, and that we as school board members and administrators in a district know what that is, and that it's also based on a needs assessment, which we've also been able to read, and those things are all in our consent agenda today that we get to approve. And I want to express my appreciation to all the people involved in creating those continuous improvement plans, because I think they are key to making sure that we help our kids continue to achieve.
Thanks, Julie. Kim?
Since I've spoken for several minutes already this evening, I'll keep my remarks brief. And simply recognize the efforts that have gone into kicking off the new school year. getting Westlake ready for the school year in particular. Just wanted to thank those who are putting in, overtime to get that done. There is a lot of work ahead of us in the coming months with regard to boundary studies, DLI studies, plenty of other topics. Constitution Month just around the corner. I'm looking forward to that. So just looking forward to the coming year. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Connie?
I just want to thank the people involved in the principal kickoff. I really enjoyed that and the classes I attended. Knowing that principals have so much work, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks to the foundation for the new teacher supplies that were given out. The foundation does a lot, and the new teachers were very grateful for what they received. So thank you to everyone involved as we begin a new school year.
I'd also like to express my appreciation for the foundation and the generous donor that provided those new teacher supplies. That was really exciting for those teachers to come through and fill their carts, and it was really fun to be there. And our principal kickoff was fantastic, and I just want to thank our district staff who helped facilitate that, and some of our principals that taught those classes were so great. I got to attend the Cypress graduation. They had a late graduation. They had 10 students graduate, and I was just so proud of those 10 students, just as proud as I was of the other 560 something anyway, maybe more at Cypress. And so I just love that we give that opportunity for our students. Not all of our students progress at the same rate or learn at the same time, and I just was really appreciative that we could still honor those students for being 2024 graduates. There's a lot of changes in our district right now, and with the new school year going back, sometimes that's stressful to a lot of people, but I just hope we can embrace changes, because with changes comes lots of opportunities, and opportunities to meet new people and to try new things. And I just hope we can keep that attitude of optimism, that we're progressing and we're going forward, and changes are hard. But they're necessary to move work forward lots of times. And so I just appreciate all those who are willing to always give their best to put their right foot forward and keep us on a good track at Granite.
Go ahead.
My comments are similar tonight in terms of recognizing the great efforts that go into kicking off a new year. I had the chance to pop into the new teacher orientation meetings last week, and then the highlight was helping out, for lack of a better word, at the new teacher store. And to see these new teachers, some of them are new to our district, but many of them are new to teaching for their first year. And it was a pleasure to speak with them and listen to where they'll be teaching here in just a week. And the highlight, just on a personal note, was seeing someone from my neighborhood, from my community that has kind of grown up through the neighborhood schools in my neighborhood, who has just finished her university training and took a job at Oakwood Elementary School as a brand new first grade teacher, coming back to the Cottonwood Network. So just a real exciting time, and exciting to see people from the community coming back to the community to be part of the community once again now as a teacher. Thanks.
And I apologize, I did not recognize Karen is on a family vacation in Europe, so out of range of everything. So we'd like to excuse her. For my Good News Minute, I know it's been shared. I just want to reiterate the new teacher store, the foundation. Thank you for providing that and pass that on to the donor. I know it was an anonymous donor, but we appreciate whoever it was that did that. The teachers were thrilled. The new teachers all got some supplies for their rooms. For those of you who don't know, it was such a blessing for them to be able to have those and to be able to take that back to get started in a new year. Also, I love what we were able to do with the new teacher orientation and the admin kickoff. I think there were some fantastic things that happened there. Thank you, those of you who made that happen. And also, just FYI, if anybody doesn't know, I did share with everybody there a little bit about each board member. And if anybody wants to know, if anybody wants those slides, I'm happy to share them. But now they know a little bit more about you, and so they have a little bit of some talking points with you. So if they come up to you, Kim, and say, I didn't know you played pickleball, now you'll know where they got it. So, but it was really great. And so I appreciate those people who did put so much work into that. So thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to, before we do real fast, there were some keys that were found and turned in out at the desk. So if you go out to your car and you're missing your keys, you'll know where to get them. We're going to turn the time over to Luke. He's going to go ahead and introduce for us the recognitions for this evening.
Good evening, board. We have a number of exciting recognitions tonight. I'm going to quickly go over the order in which we'll do those. First, we'll have Jen Christensen recognize the Olympus Girls 5A Lacrosse State Champions. Then we'll have Mitch Nurdin recognize the Skyline Girls 5A Golf State Champions. And then we'll have James Taylor and Mandy Chappell do 3 recognitions. The Utah Association of Agricultural Educators Rookie of the Year, the FBLA Advisor of the Year, and the Utah TSA Advisor of the Year. Then we will have Jennifer Johnson recognize an honorable mention at the International Genius Olympiad. Following that, we'll have Sherry Sorensen recognize the College Board AP Award recipients. And then we will have Carrie Johnson and JD Talbot recognize our 10 Excel Award winners from this last year. And finally, we will have Leslie Bell recognize 6 teachers who were recognized at the Honors in Education Gala. So we'll turn it over to Jen Christensen.
Okay, well, I get to have Coach Spratling and her cute, brand new baby Theo. She brought him. I told her she had to bring him with her tonight. And I just think we only have Masami. Masami, come on up. So Coach Spratling, the day before graduation on May 23rd, we were at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. And our girls, and you guys have to realize, so you guys get to come and stand up right in front of here. So everybody can see you.
We're actually going to have you guys come up here while she's introducing you and shake hands if that's okay. Or fist bump, whatever you prefer.
So through the whole lacrosse season, Coach Spratling, she was pregnant as can be, and she coached these girls and kept this cute baby in the whole entire lacrosse season. And these girls they killed it the whole season. We were undefeated. And and on the day before graduation, the stands were full in Harriman with all of our whole student body, including our boys lacrosse team, that was favored to do pretty well. And unfortunately, they didn't get as far as the girls. But these boys, even the boys, were up there with the girls cheering for them. They were back-to-back region champions, and our seniors that graduated, they graduated with a cumulative GPA of 3.911. And the seniors, there were 2 state titles, and 4 of them were academic all-states. Masami here, she is a Region 6 second team member, and she's a 2-time first team all-state member. So Masami is incredible, and we get to have Masami for another 2 years. So, oh, shoot. In my head, I still feel like we have 2. We just get Masami for 1 more year, but I've got to know Masami for a long time, which I feel really privileged for. Anyway, of our senior group, we have 2 All-Americans and 4 All-State students. And so it's been a really incredible year to watch our girls lacrosse team, and we have a lot of them that are still competing. I mean, they're doing all sorts of summer leagues and stuff like that. So we just have a small group tonight. So congratulations to our girls lacrosse.
Masami, are your parents here? Or your family here? Can we have your family stand and be recognized? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Board. We're excited to be here from Skyline High School. I've got with me Cade Robertson. He is the assistant golf coach. Kenny James, who's the head golf coach, is actually at golf tryouts right now. He coaches the boys and the girls. So he couldn't be here. He's on his way. He's trying to get back. But I'm going to turn the mic over to Cade, and he can introduce his folks and talk about the amazing two-time state championship girls golf team.
Thank you. First, let's have the girls come on up, the girls that are here, so they can be recognized. And come on up. These girls have achieved some amazing things. Back-to-back state champions, back-to-back region champions. 3 of our seniors are going to be on playing college golf this next year. We did some amazing stuff, especially our head coach is here. I'll turn it over to him. He can tell it for us. So, Coach Kenny James.
I'll make this fast. All right, I had to finish golf tryouts for our boys team, so I hustled down there as fast as I could. Love this group of girls, amazing group of seniors, and what a great 2 years we had. But it's been more than that. 4 great years with those seniors and building something special, and couldn't be more proud of them as people, as individuals, as students, and as golfers and winners. So proud of them. Sorry, I'm scrambling.
While they're getting in place, how about we have the parents, well, okay. The 2 parents are taking pictures. So obviously they're standing. Just kidding. All right, and now can we recognize the parents? Will you please also stand? Thank you for supporting your athletes.
Good evening, President, Superintendent, members of the board. It's the pleasure of Career and Technical Education Department to recognize 3 of our shiny stars this evening. I have Dr. Chappell here with me, and these folks will come on up and they can be shaking hands while we recognize them. We have the pleasure of recognizing 2 state CTSO advisors of the year, and also Utah Association of Agriculture Educator Rookie of the Year. So I'll turn the time to Dr. Chappell to recognize her 2 teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I'm excited to be here to kind of show off some of my teachers here. We have amazing teachers at the GTI, and it's no doubt that these 2 have been recognized for their efforts. Miss Gracie Williams in the middle there is our animal science and equine science teacher. She does our summer ag program where students can continue their education through the summer by putting in that practical applicability into their from the classroom into working with the animals during the summer. Mr. Alan Erickson we stole him from Tooele District last year. Also his first year he finished here at the GTI. He just received a $10,000 grant from Northrop Grumman to run and build an after-school VEX robotics program here at the GTI. So we're still in those stages. Both of these teachers are superfluous with their time and energy in our school, and we're grateful for them. And there's no other people I'd rather have running those programs here at our school.
Thank you, Mandy. And I would like to recognize, first of all, I'd like to excuse Mark Ellemeyer, principal of Taylorsville High School. He had some wedding business to take care of tonight and wasn't able to join us. So it's my pleasure to recognize Cammie Jones. Cammie Jones, a seasoned business educator at Taylorsville High School. Cammie and I have known each other for many years in various assignments, and it's my pleasure to introduce her to you as Utah's FBLA Advisor of the Year. And what a wonderful honor for her. FBLA, or better known as Future Business Leaders of America, is the largest business, career, and technical student organization in the world. Each year, FBLA helps over 230,000 members prepare for careers in business. And what a pleasure it is for me to have one of our stars leading out in that charge, and it's a very well-deserved recognition. These are wonderful opportunities that connect students to service and leadership opportunities and skills, and also help connect them to their high school experience. So thanks to wonderful folks like these who do such an amazing job for our students.
Thanks so much for all you guys do for our kiddos.
If their parents are here, we'd like to.
Families, are you here? Anybody's family? We know the support that it takes to support great teachers, so thank you.
Thank you. I am Jen Johnson. I'm actually a brand new principal at Hunter High. And so I've asked Trent Young, one of my science teachers, to come and talk about our amazing kiddo, Angelina Wynn. When Trent reached out to me this summer and said, oh my gosh, we have this amazing kid who did this amazing thing at this Genius Olympiad. Can we recognize her in an assembly? I said, oh, no. I will do you one better. We're going to recognize her at the board meeting. So I am going to turn this over to Trent and let him tell you a little bit about this.
Okay, I'm thrilled to introduce a student who has dedicated herself to applying what she has learned in her science classes to original and productive research. Right here in Granite School District, she created electricity from food waste and researched how different types of bacteria could make the process more efficient. Angeline won first place in her category at the Utah Science and Engineering Fair for the last 2 years. Last year, she qualified to go as an observer to the International Science and Engineering Fair, ISEF. This year, her project was one of 5 chosen to represent Utah at the Genius Olympiad in Rochester, New York. She competed against students from 65 countries and 33 different states. At the Genius Olympiad, she was awarded an honorable mention, which came with a $14,000 continuing scholarship. I'd like to thank the school board for taking the time to recognize her accomplishments and hope that by doing so, other Granite students will realize the opportunities like this are out there. She is already a scientist, and I'm excited to see what else she comes up with to improve the world. Please join me in congratulating Angelina for her incredible work and contribution.
And our Angelina's parents here, can we recognize you if you are? Please stand.
Good evening, board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and introduce Anita Artie and Kathy Affleck. So if you want to come on up. They are 2 fabulous AP teachers at Skyline High School. This year they received awards from the College Board at the Intermountain APSI Teacher Awards Ceremony. Kathy won as an AP Biology teacher, the top high flyer teacher in AP Biology in the state. To qualify for this award, more than 75% of the students enrolled in her AP Biology classes took the AP exam, and 96% of the students who took the AP exam passed the test with a 3 or higher. Anita was awarded the AP Distinguished Teacher Award. Teachers earning this award meet at least one of the following criteria. They build a classroom culture of confidence when it comes to taking the AP exam, no matter the AP exam score. What that means is that the AP exam test-taking rate in her class closely aligns to the number of students that took the exam. She exhibits strong teaching practices that result in high student achievement on classroom assignments and May exam. What that means is that a large percentage of the students in her class pass the AP exam. And the last thing is she champions AP access for all students in their AP courses. What this means is over the years, they've observed an increase in the number of students taking AP Human Geography at Skyline. So we congratulate these teachers.
Do you have family here? Mitch is here to support you.
Superintendent Horsley, board, we are excited to be here with you this evening. My name is Carrie Johnson. I am the board president for the Granite Education Foundation, and we are honored to represent and to present to you as our board members, present to you the 2024 Excel teacher and administrator winners from the Granite School District. These winners were selected and celebrated officially in the month of May, but this will be our final hurrah for them, which will happen tonight. We've included some recognition for them, the thing that they wanted the most, which was copies of their video, their celebration video, and their headshots, and we're honored to present them to you. So first of all, we have Adam Wilkins from Cottonwood High School, our theater teacher. And just come on up. What you're going to do, go ahead and go shake the board members' hands, and then we'll do a group photo together afterward, if that's all right, Superintendent. All right, next we have Alejandra Aliano, which is our West Kearns Elementary third grade teacher. She's our DLI program. And she's going to tease me as I say Ariano a couple of times. Brandon Moore, our principal from Robert Frost Elementary. Next, we have a Stansbury Elementary third grade teacher, Ileana Gomez. Our next recipient is a kindergarten through fifth grade visual arts teacher from Truman Elementary and also from Fox Hills Elementary, Nathan Smith. From Lincoln Elementary, our third grade teacher, Prema Churithroti. From Hunter High School, teaching AP 3D Design and AP Art History, and also several ceramics class, Rock Frampton. Our special education, also Teacher of the Year, post-high from Hart-Dixon School, Saeed Sharifi. A 9th through 12th grade choir teacher from Skyline High School, Shay Bunker. And last but not least, our kindergartner teacher from Upland Terrace Elementary, Susan Wiley. These educators were chosen out of the thousands of teachers in the Granite School District and thousands of nominations received for their excellence in our district. We are honored to have them and celebrate them this year.
Carrie, come on up.
We might need to swap you two.
We just want to thank the foundation while they're taking this picture for the tremendous lift that this is to recognize these teachers and administrators.
Sorry, I'm trying to get heads in between. Heads, yeah. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay. Sorry.
And if you have family members here also, after the pictures are done, can we have you stand and be recognized as well?
All right, Superintendent Board, I am pleased to announce 4 Granite School District teachers that were celebrated at an Honors in Education Gala, and this is in conjunction with the Show Up for Teachers event hosted by our First Lady, Abby Cox. So there were 4 teachers recognized. The first one is Shannon Gardner, and she's a special education teacher at Taylorsville High School. So Shannon, will you come up and shake the board's hand? Let me tell a couple things about Shannon. When my son started attending Taylorsville High, Ms. Gardner made it fun, easy, enjoyable, supportive. She is patient and kind. For my son and many others, Ms. Gardner has impacted the community and her approach to helping kids in special education. Our next one is Tori D. Donato, and she's a 4th grade teacher at Hillside Elementary. Oh, Hillsdale, excuse me. Thank you. Sorry, the wrong hill. Tori stands out among her peers in her teaching approach through her creativity, sympathy, and adaptability. In a Title I school, which is low income, she likely faces unique challenges, such as limited resources and diverse student needs. Despite these challenges, Tori finds innovative ways to engage her students and make learning meaningful and enjoyable. Our next one is Sydney Moser Price, and she's from Jefferson Junior High, and she's a math teacher. Mrs. Moser Price is a standout figure in our community due to her exceptional contributions to education. Her innovative teaching methods, unwavering dedication, and commitment to student success have left a huge impact on every student who enters her classroom. All right, last but not least, we have Christine Nielsen, and she's a health teacher at Evergreen Junior High. And also Granger High School, thank you. Ms. Nielsen has helped kids that come from poverty, the poverty level, living to succeed in school. She helps our youth that have had a rough start in life so they can have a brighter future. So congratulations to these 4 candidates for being recognized.
You guys need to get close enough together that I can't be seen behind you. That's your goal. Shannon told me that she told her husband not to stand, but we want anybody else to stand who came to recognize these people. Thank you for the amazing work you do as well. And that's it, right? Oh, you did it. I think that's record time, you guys. All right, we have Granite elected official participation time. Representative Gardner, did you want to say anything? We'd like to recognize that you're here. I apologize for not seeing you earlier. Thank you for being here. I didn't see anybody else, right? And then I'm looking at Luke. Did we have anybody for patron participation time? Okay, I do want to say if you are here for the tax hearing, the sign up is out in the hall if you'd like to speak during that time. The rest of you, we appreciate you being here. If you want to go get ice cream for your families, please feel free to. Or you can stay because we love to have people here. So it's up to you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our consent agenda. This is some items that we've had for the last few days. We've been able to look over this and read through things, and we'd like to, if we've had any questions, we've been able to ask those questions. If there's no further questions, we'll go ahead. I can go ahead and entertain a motion for that.
I move that we accept the consent agenda items.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda items. Is there any further discussion? All right. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Julie said aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We will go ahead and move on. We have a couple of administrative appointments as a consent item. As an action item, I'm sorry, as an action item, my apologies. So I will entertain a motion for that as well.
I make a motion to accept the action item
The administrative appointments.
with the administrative appointment.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the administrative appointments. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. With that, we will turn the time over to John.
I'm going to actually see if I can do this without a paper. Okay, so because we only have one, not 30 or something like that. So we have Beth Nelson. If we have Beth stand up. Beth Nelson has just been appointed. You just appointed her to be the new assistant at Fremont and Upland Terrace Elementary Schools. Previously in our district, she has been an English teacher at Jefferson Junior High, correct? And she interned as an assistant principal at Moss Elementary last year. Did a fantastic job, comes highly recommended by Lindsay Adams, who I'm sure she taught a lot, and she said she learned a lot from you as well. So she was super excited for you. Beth, please share with us who you brought with you tonight.
I brought my parents, Janet.
Well, thanks for coming tonight. Congratulations. She's going to hit the ground running tomorrow, in fact, so she's starting tomorrow. And just so for the board's knowledge, or as a reminder, I'm sure you know this, we moved Sarah Puua, I hope I said that correctly, from those two elementary schools. She's going to be going to Kennedy Junior High. We had a vacancy at Kennedy Junior High because we had an assistant principal take a job in another district. We have no idea why anybody would ever do that. No, actually, he wanted to be closer to home. He actually lives up north and took a job to be closer to home. So if you see Sarah, congratulate her as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. We're thrilled to have you there.
Board of Education, as part of the consent agenda tonight for your action item on those administrative appointments, we also made an appointment to select a new chief of staff. The other one vacated the position a few weeks ago, and once again, I just wanted to express my appreciation to all the applicants for that position. We actually had a tremendous pool of candidates, and I consider many of them to be good friends and amazing educators. So ultimately, this was a very difficult selection process, and I think that some of our finalists would attest that I put them through the ringer in terms of working through a number of concerns and answering a lot of challenging questions to determine the best fit. So I appreciate their patience in spending many hours addressing questions and ideas to help me determine that fit. So I had a very specific directive from our Board of Education, and I was looking to find a chief that could support that directive. So our new chief of staff has been selected, and that is Dr. Mitch Nurden. Apparently has some fans in the audience. I'll just briefly introduce him and then allow him to introduce his family that's here. You have to stay standing, sorry. Yeah, feel free to please come up. Dr. Nurdin, Mitch, has a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Utah and a Master of Arts in Education from the University of Phoenix, a Master of Level Certificate in Educational Leadership from the University of Utah, and an Educational Doctorate in Educational Leadership from Brigham Young University. He spent some time as an extremely competent math teacher at Westlake Junior High School, where he helped his students reach incredible proficiency rates. He was an assistant principal at Kearns Junior, at Granite High School, Cottonwood High School, Granger High School, and Hunter High School, and was the principal at Cottonwood High School. He helped that school increase their graduation rate by more than 8% year over year. He was asked several years ago, after being in the district as a Title I director, to lead Skyline High School through the reconstruction project, and that was no small challenge. And his leadership at that school has also propelled Skyline to be Granite's highest student growth high school and become Utah's #1 comprehensive high school in terms of academics. So he has taken an amazing school and made it even more incredible, which is no small feat. So very pleased to recognize Dr. Nurdin tonight. We'll be putting him to work tomorrow as well. And we'll be announcing an interim replacement for him at a later date as soon as possible. So we'll have that information at a later time. Dr. Nurdin, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you please introduce your family to us?
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. I am humbled and excited to get to work and scared to death all at the same time. Very excited. I have my whole family here, except for my daughter, who is on her mission in the Philippines. I have 8 children, and all of them are here. I'm going to introduce the most important person first, and that is my wife, Stacy Nurdin. She is amazing. Her parents are here. I'm grateful to Bob and Donna Smith and my niece, Reagan. They've come to support me as well. And then my kids, Hannah, Sam.
You guys need to wave when we call out your names. Okay?
Hannah, Sam, Jonas, Grace is on a mission, Ava, Tommy, Lily, and Johnny. Those are the Nurdin kids, and they are fabulous. Not a lot of plus 50s have a 3-year-old at home, and I love every minute of it. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
If I might take a moment of personal privilege to make some other minor organizational announcements, would that be okay? As part of this appointment and with some other organizational changes, I just wanted to make some brief announcements. J.D. Talbot, who's been serving as our foundation director and as the director over our family and community engagement department, will also now oversee the communications and community outreach department and provide some streamlining there, and that will eliminate the need to hire a new communications director and will help us streamline operations as a district. And he will become a direct report to the superintendent, as will Dr. Aaron Wilson, who will now also report directly to the superintendent and become part of our executive leadership team. He was one of our finalists as part of that process and did an amazing job, and we're excited to have him be part of our leadership team moving forward.
Thanks. Some big changes, but we're excited to see what will happen with this. We have a truth and taxation hearing that we need to start at 8 p.m. We cannot start that early, but we can start it late. So Clark, would you like to should we try our first reading? Can we fit it in?
You're asking me?
Yes, because you're our time
Of course.
person.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to skip down to our first reading for this is, and invite Doug to come up. Thanks, Doug, for reading my mind.
You're welcome.
This is Article 9A1C, Employment and Supervision of Relatives.
Yeah, board members, thank you so much. This is a first reading on a policy that was crafted so that it would better comport with the Utah State Code. This policy doesn't have a lot of changes, but the substantive changes are part of a administrative memorandum, which is Administrative Memorandum 134, Employment of Supervision and Relatives. As you know, We are connecting those, our policies to memoranda now, so that we have our policy statements in board policies and our statements of process or procedure in our memoranda. Anyway, this policy, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. If there's any questions that you have, I'd be willing to address them.
Any questions on this one? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept as a first reading Article 9A1C, Employment and Supervision of Relatives.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to accept as a first reading Article 9A1C, Employment of Supervision and of Relatives. Is there any further discussion on this? Right, with that, I will ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that passes as a first reading. We might be able to do this, Doug.
Great.
Second reading.
The next policy that we have, I believe you'll have to help me, but is learning materials the next one on the list?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Article 10A6. This is a policy that is important to the structure of our policies. This is a policy that is an umbrella policy over all of the learning materials in Granite School District. Those learning materials include all of our core curricula, supplemental materials that are used by teachers, library books, anything that would be considered learning materials falls into the purview of this particular policy. We tabled this policy a couple of months ago. The board asked that we go back and revisit some ideas with the Law and Policy Committee, which we did. In so doing, we added a section there at the end of the policy which better describes how the administrative memoranda that support this policy are identified and listed there, and it also identifies and describes the disposal of property and how the district disposes of property when that is appropriate. So with that, I present to you the learning materials policy for second reading, and I'll answer any questions that you've got.
Are there any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion. This is a second and final reading.
I move that we accept policy 10A6, learning materials, as a final draft, final reading.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to accept 10A6, learning materials, as a final reading. Are there any further discussion on this? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I didn't hear Julie. Julie, did you say? Okay, any opposed?
Thanks, Julie.
All right.
Last one, Article 5C12. This is school support organizations. We've had a great deal of conversation about this policy. Again, the policy statement itself is somewhat short, and there are procedures that we have outlined in Administrative Memorandum 131, school support organizations. I'll just remind the board and remind anybody who's listening that if you want to see those memoranda, there are links to it on the board report as well as on the district's policy webpage. You're welcome to go and see those supporting administrative memoranda. But this is the statement of policy for school support organizations, something that we have created here in Granite School District. They have been a great support for the organizations in our schools, and we want to continue those partnerships with our school support organizations and do so in a way that is fiscally responsible and that follows all of our other fiscal policies. So I present to you Article 5C12, school support organizations, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you've got them.
Any questions on this? All right, I'll entertain a motion. This is a second and final reading.
I move that we accept Article VC12, school support organizations, as a final reading.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Article V, excuse me, 5C12, school support organizations is a second and final reading. Are there any comments? I just want to add one thing. As I have been pursuing this in a school where my children are attending, I have found that we have, I think, some holes, not necessarily in our policy. I will approve the policy, but I think we have some major work that we need to do, and I'm not sure who to look to for this, but we have some holes in this, and so I will be contacting individuals so that we can shore this up, because there's a definite disparity on what's happening with our SSOs within our entire district, and we need to have a little bit better organization from what I feel, but I will support this, so.
Great.
I look forward to that continued conversation.
As do I.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Julie?
Julie? Julie? Did we lose you?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you, board members.
We're going to, what is the technical term? We're going to saunter for 3 minutes until 8 o'clock. At that time, we will come back and start our hearing for our truth and taxation. taxation hearing and turn the time over to Todd and Brian.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to speak through our budget and the impending tax increase that is a part of that budget. We will present a short presentation because, again, tonight is the opportunity for our public to come and speak to us about the impacts of the tax increase and what they see within the budget. With that, I'll turn it over to Brian, who will walk us through our presentation.
All right, thank you, Todd. Thank you, board. So as Todd mentioned, the purpose of this Truth in Taxation hearing tonight is to discuss property tax rates within Granite School District, specifically changes in the capital local levy for our school district. That rate is proposed in the budget to be set at a rate that is higher than the certified tax rate. And what that means, again, is that as property values in the district increase, there's a certified rate set that lowers those property tax rates to an amount that would generate the same revenue this year as what we received last year. And what's proposed is that we set that rate at a rate that will generate an additional $7.2 million in revenues in 24-25. And those revenues are budgeted to be used in the continued rollout of the district's long-term capital plan. So the plan for replacement and renovations of our aging school buildings. And this is completely in accordance with the plan as it was outlined in 2017 and proposed at that time and approved. What is not changing this year is the property tax rates for operations. So our voted and board local levies are not being adjusted from that certified tax rate. That's not part of what we're talking about tonight. So let's talk about school building improvement and what that looks like, and just a reminder of what happened in 2017 and what the board approved at that point in time. So there were really three options that were considered. One was a single tax increase that was kind of biting this all off at once and raising taxes immediately and raising those capital funding levels immediately, which would have flowed through to those property tax bills in the year that we did that. Another option would have been a series of bonds, so every 4 to 5 years go out to the public with a vote for a bond for school building. And then the third option was this hybrid option, which was ultimately settled on, an initial 10-year bond issuance, after which the district would maintain the same property tax rate that was initially levied to pay for those bonds. And that hybrid strategy is ultimately what was approved by the Granite School District Board at that point in time. One of the key things to remember with this hybrid funding strategy is that as we move that rate over from the debt service levy, there are truth and taxation requirements that are triggered as we do that. So that combined rate between the debt service piece and the piece that is moved over to the capital levy is frozen at the same amount. And what that means is that regardless of what property values do, that rate stays at that same amount. And ultimately that results in property tax bills increasing in the years where property values go up. We also, over the past 4 years, 3 years, have shifted a good amount of revenue from that debt service levy because bond payment requirements have decreased as well. So it's really a combination of those two things that are funding the capital improvement needs in the school district. And we'll go through a slide in a second that shows the larger increases that are going to happen beginning in 2030 and beyond as those debt service needs decrease, as we start to pay off some of our bonds and have increased capacity to move that money over into the capital local levy. So again, this shifting and freezing is what triggers the need for this truth in taxation hearing this evening and triggers that tax increase in the capital local levy. So if you look at this slide, this shows you what we're going to be paying in principal and interest on our bonds over the next 10 years. You can see that we're kind of sitting at that $33 million level all the way through fiscal year 28, at which point we start to go down from there. So fiscal year 29 down to 31.7 million, down to 25.2 million, down to 21.2, and so on. So 2031-32 is really that first year where we see a big chunk of that come off, and we have all of that revenue potentially shifting over to the capital local levy at that point in time. So to illustrate in terms of rates and average property tax bills, this table here is set up with the final rate from tax year 2023, which was for the 23-24 school year, and then the final two columns for this current school year for 24-25. So the key things to note here, we have the regular portion of the capital local levy, which is funding all of the other capital things, non-school building related, non-bond replacement portion. So we're kind of splitting this between the portion that is regular capital and yes, time.
Time's up, Brian.
3 minutes are up.
Regular capital and bond replacement portion of the capital local levy. And as you can see, our debt service levy is decreasing from the 0.000743 rate down to a 0.000675, and we're capturing that decrease into the capital local levy, and that combined rate between the two is staying the exact same at the 0.001812. Again, because property values have increased, this means that total revenues are increasing to the tune of $7.2 million. And these revenues are part of the original plan and part of that strategy to fund building replacements over the long term. So as we finish up projects at Skyline and Cypress, to continue down that list and do the projects that follow that on the list of projects. GSDfuture.org has a list of those planned projects and kind of proposed timelines on each of those projects.
Have we updated that? Like, when's the last time we updated that? The GSDfutures.org?
It was updated, I want to say 6 months or 12 months ago. I'll send you all a link for that.
I thought it actually might be as most recent as 3 months ago when I was searching for Luke to nod his head.
Yeah.
Luke, do you know when the last time we updated that project list with the estimated timelines?
I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, but it's probably worth another update.
Okay.
Please, thanks.
From there, we're going to jump into a conversation about property tax notices and helping kind of sometimes there's some challenges in understanding everything that's on a property tax notice and what you're really looking at when you get one of those in the mail. So initially, I wanted to present this Salt Lake County Notice of Proposed Tax Increases. So this is something that the county auditor has put together, which shows tax increases throughout the county, proposed tax increases and the revenues generated from that tax increase. I've highlighted the line for Granite School District, which shows our average valuation of $528,000 on a home. It shows what those average tax bills would be for a taxpayer. And that $43 here lines up with the $43 that we were looking at in the previous slide of what that tax increase would be on an average home in the capital local levy. So we do have copies of this available for anyone who's interested who would like a copy of this. We can definitely provide that. This is also posted to our district website and is available for people to access there. Your property tax notices are mailed by the Salt Lake County Auditor, so they are in charge of getting you these notices. You can sign up for those electronically. If you aren't signed up for them electronically, then they will come to you via regular mail. The Salt Lake County Assessor sets market values for homes and assess valuations for individual homes. And then you all, as the Granite Board of Education, establishes a budget and a tax rate for the school district. And levy a debt service levy that's enough to generate sufficient revenue to pay for our bonds that are outstanding. The state legislature is in charge of two specific levies that are listed as our levies on a tax notice. This includes the state basic school levy and the charter school levy. These are two levies that we are required to levy regardless of whether we want to or not. We're required to do this as part of our participation in the state basic school program. And if we chose not to levy those taxes, then we would not receive the minimum school program funding from the state. So these are not set by us. They are required to be levied by us as Granite School District. There are other taxing entities that show up on your property tax notice: the county, the city, library, mosquito abatement, special improvement districts. There's a number of different taxing entities that will show up on your notice. So let's jump into a sample tax valuation notice. This is as close as we could get to the average value in the school district of $528,200. So very close to that average market value. And one thing you notice right off the bat is that there is a residential exemption reduction on every property tax notice for a primary residence. So if you own a primary residence, you only pay on 55% of the assessed valuation of your home, not on the full valuation of the home. So in this case, the $528,700 is reduced down to $290,785, and that's what that taxpayer would pay taxes on. We'll jump to the next slide and look at the rates specifically that are related to the Granite School District. And I've highlighted these in 4 different colors. The red and the purple levies are those 2 levies that are set through the state legislative process. So the state's basic school levy and our charter school levy are set at what they're set at, and those are the ones that we kind of just levy the rate that we're told to levy. The district levy and then this debt service line are all of the other levies of the district. And one thing that's a little bit confusing about the notices this year is that they have split out that debt service levy from the rest of the levies of the district. In the past, there was only 1 line, where there's now 2 lines. And the way that it's showing on the property tax notice is that this year you've got a bill of $196.28, and it's showing that last year was actually a bill of 0, which is actually not correct, right? That portion of the levy is included in the 2023 number here. And so that just creates a little bit of confusion when looking at this, but that's what's happening there. And the way the notice is set up is that it shows you the proposed rates for 2024, which is what is included in our budget. That includes that increase in the capital local levy. It shows you columns for if we set the rate at the certified tax rate, and then it shows you the change between the two, or the difference between the two. And again, we're getting back to that $43 number, which is what was shown in the previous slide, the increase in that capital local levy. So on a rate basis, we are increasing 4% above what that certified rate would have been if we hadn't made an adjustment otherwise to the capital local levy. So that's how this is set up, how it looks. We will certainly be available after this presentation if there are any questions about individual property tax notices. One thing to remember is that everyone's tax situation is a little bit different, and a lot of times it depends on how someone's valuation has moved in relation to the average in the school district, and that can make a big difference on what your property tax bill ultimately is.
So just to be clear on this, so the debt service in the future, what we will see is that debt service continue to be line itemed, but that debt service, as the years go by, after what, 5 years, in about 5 years, we'll see that start to drop a little bit more, but it will continue to grow in the other, just because we're flip-flopping those, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And next year, the 2024 column, the prior year column, will actually show the 196.28 that's on this year's as the current year, right? So that line will have a history at that point in time, where it doesn't this year.
That combined rate that's frozen, is it frozen all the way till 2032?
So the plan as it was put together in 2017 anticipated that rate being frozen through the point in time where we pay off our bonds. That's correct.
Okay, so just confirming that, because then that in theory means property taxes increase every year for the next 8 years, there would be an increase like this every year.
If valuations increase every year for the next 8 years, then yes, that would be correct.
And that's because of a vote that the board made in 2017, that rate is frozen.
That's based on the plan that was developed at that point in time and approved.
Sure.
Approved by the board, but it was voted on by the voters of
Yeah.
Granite School District.
Could I speak to that real quick? I think this is a really good question. I'm glad you brought it up. I think as we kind of harken back to this strategy and approach, the board at the time and Don Adams and I went out prior to the bond election at that time in the entirety of the year 2016 and did a lot of community engagement to discuss a variety of options and plans for financing school facilities moving forward to the next 40 years. So as you mentioned earlier in the slide deck, and we do have some handouts and materials from that time. So the board, after looking at that engagement strategy and what our community was willing to support, chose this model. However, then it was incumbent upon us in 2017 to actually go pass a bond. And we did so with, I think, 60+% of the vote adhering to that strategy and approach. So yes and no, I officially, the board doesn't, they're adhering to that strategy that we engaged the community to approve, and by virtue of the fact that they approved the bond is indicative that they were approving the support and the approach, if that makes sense.
And it was on a ballot, right? Yeah. Okay.
If I can add to that, so the tax rates are set annually. So when we go and develop a budget and present to the board each year, we come with the assumption that that strategy is still in force. You can always change what the strategy is at any of those annual check-ins of the budget. But we will start with the get-go strategy as we present to you.
That was going to be my next question. So since it was approved by the voters, we still as a board can go back and change that. Thanks.
If we did so, I would obviously want to, I'm a community engagement guy. I would encourage the board to direct our staff to go out and engage the community again on a better strategy, perhaps. Maybe the strategy should change. We've discussed that a little bit in our budget committee earlier today, looking at how this is working to finance our needs. So there's always opportunity for enhancement.
I appreciate that we have to do this every year because more people don't understand or weren't around in 2017. So I appreciate you discussing and helping inform us again year after year as to what we're going through.
All right, moving on from there. Appealing property tax values. So every taxpayer has the right to work with Salt Lake County on appealing their valuation if they feel like their home is valued improperly. They can file an appeal with the Board of Equalization, and form and instructions are available online on the Salt Lake County website. We also have those forms available here tonight outside the room here. That deadline for appealing is September 16th, and obviously taxpayers can work with Salt Lake County on questions as they go through that process if that's what they want to do. Then there are also options for statutory tax relief for certain taxpayers. I will go through these briefly, but taxpayers again can go to the Salt Lake County website and get more details about each of these. And those applications for the tax relief are also available outside the room here. Circuit breaker is 66 years old or a surviving spouse. Indigent, 65 years old or receiving disability benefits. An extreme financial hardship at any age. A service-connected disability or death, or an active duty veteran. Someone who is legally blind. Or a new one this year is a senior deferral program where taxpayers who are 75 years or older may defer taxes owed to a later date when their property is sold or something happens with it as part of their estate when they pass away. So many of those tax relief programs have household income requirements. Again, you can go to the Salt Lake County webpage and it will outline what those income requirements are for each of those. So with that, the recommended action tonight would be to officially adopt the fiscal year 25 budget as published on the district webpage, and then to set that property tax rate to be 0.006125. So with that, we'll pass it back for public comment and board discussion.
Great, thank you. Do you guys have any other questions before we, about the PowerPoint? Okay. Just really quick, if there's any final people who'd like to sign up, there is a sheet out there. I do have one person signed up, but until we get started, you're welcome to go sign up for the public hearing. And I'll have Luke grab that in just a second. So just a reminder, as you come up, we are happy to hear from you and definitely want to hear what you have to say. We would like to offer you 3 to 5 minutes to address the board and share with us your thoughts. So as soon as he's done, we're gonna go ahead. Mike Balliff, I have you signed up first. If you'll just come up and state your name, and then Stacy, do you have your timer?
I'd just also like to note, I'd love it if we could somehow turn the screen so that I can see the people giving comment, please.
Can it, the camera? The camera's on the ceiling, but let's see what we can do.
If it's too hard, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's move on.
Let's see that.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for this opportunity. You guys are county?
Can you pull that microphone just a little bit closer to you? Sorry.
Are you county? Then I was trying to figure out the relationship.
We're officers of the school board.
Okay. I've got 31 properties affected by this. And I don't know if you discussed it. It's that very first line item, Granite School District tax increase. So all of this refers back to a 2017 budget. However, you are asking for a rate increase. You're asking for it. But if you go back, and I read these budgets, you're trying to build some more schools, but you're coming back to the well again. You want more money, so. But then it says in the 2017 budget, this was all approved. So kind of not connecting there. It seems to me, without any further real, in-depth study, maybe we've got cost overruns on those schools. I don't know. If it was budgeted, why are you coming back to the well? Plenty of taxes here. So I vote no. We've already given you the money, and I don't know what you're doing with it. If you are in cost overruns or you're trying to make up a deficit, then you haven't been good stewards of what has been paid in already. So I don't know if you can answer that right now. I don't know if we've got a situation where you're running in deficits or you got a cost plus contract that you're in trouble with, but $7 million again? Okay, so do I get to ask a question, please? What's the money going for? If it's budgeted, what's the new money going for?
Great. So the 2017 references a program that was adopted by the board. It included debt financing and it included capital levy increases. So it was a combination. So it's not a return to the well for already projects underway or completed projects. We have over 30 projects that were part of the voter information pamphlet at that time. And we're only about 6 or 8 schools into those projects. So these are dollars that were already anticipated to come in the future. They weren't generated in year 2017. They were future dollars expected to come as those new projects came online. So they were scheduled 10 years out. And so we're getting into that timeline where the debts services funds have been used and we're in the capital levy side of that hybrid model.
Understood. What happens if you don't get the increase? What if you can't pick up the 7 million you need? Then what happens?
There are several options that are to the district, but the immediate option would be that projects are delayed.
As part of that 2017 bond, we had we have the oldest buildings in average in the state. Our district was founded in 1904, so you can imagine we're going about replacing a number of older facilities. And so with respect to Todd's answer, if the revenue is not forthcoming, then we would have to shortchange that turnaround, that 40-year strategic plan to replace those facilities. It would just be extended longer.
Indeed. Yeah, I can see your need. I'm just bothered that it seems when you read through this, we've got some highly paid economists and budget analysts we're paying their salary to, and they can't get a budget together, and they keep coming back for more. It's like, it's getting stiff, you know? Try paying that 10, 20 times, and it adds up. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Belliff. All right, it looks like we have a few more that are signed up to speak. We have Michelle Jones.
Since this gentleman's right here.
Teague Wolfley. I'm on that list, I think.
Is it Teague?
Yeah.
Teague
Wolfley.
Wolfley? Okay, sorry. Go ahead. State your name and.
Yeah, Teague Wolfley. I'm a little shocked at how few people are here. And I know the rate increases aren't a lot, but I think it's ironic, the economy that we're going through right now and people's lives that are being impacted, and there's people that sit here and ask for more money. And the only plan is to ask for more money and ask for more money and ask for more money. I work in the private sector, and I've been laid off because there's not enough money. I don't know if you guys experience that or if you've ever experienced that, but it's a lot. And so it's not the purpose or the rate increase, it's the behavior. And you can't just keep asking the residents of this county to pay more. There has to be other alternatives. And I understand we have old buildings. I understand we have needs. But I think it's ridiculous to think that the only response or the only answer is to ask for more money. We are a conservative state that prides ourselves in conservative fiscal responsibilities. I know the state has needs. I know this school district has needs. But you have to understand, you can't put it on the backs of the residential people in this community. It's not fair. So I don't know what planning needs to happen or what changes need to be made, but this is ridiculous. And I'm surprised there's not more people here. It's probably because it's such a small amount, but what people here don't understand, every year you're gonna ask for 4%. Every year. This will never change unless people stand up and say, we have to get a different program together. The government cannot just continue to ask us for money. I'm passionate about this. I know there's needs, but I also know you guys are intelligent, creative people. What do we do differently next year? What do we do differently in 10 years? The tax increases are absolutely growing with the growth of Utah and people coming in here. Let's think differently. Like, I know it's not a large increase, but compounded year over year, you can put individuals in this community in a really, really tough spot. And it's not just you. It's you this year and you next year, and then it's the rest of the people on that list who want more next year. And when you compound it, it's significant. It's significant for homeowners who are trying to buy a home. It's significant for people that are paying absorbent interest rates. It aggregates and it changes people's lives. You have to consider that. So with all due respect, I understand you're in a tough position. I understand decisions were made in 2017, but I also know you're intelligent and creative, and maybe there's other ways to look at it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Wolfie. Michelle, do you want to go ahead and come on up?
Michelle Jones, GEA president and also a resident at 3710 South, 500 East. And I just want to express my gratitude to the board for 3 points. One, the fact that over the years I have seen this board repeatedly reach out to the community and make sure that the community supports the decisions that were made along the way and is continually reaching out to make sure that people are aware that the process is very transparent and people are knowledgeable about the items that you guys are considering. So that's my first thank you. My next one is the fact that you understand that this district's responsibility is to make sure that our students are safe, that they're in buildings that support education and learning, that we have the facilities that both protect our children and also make it so that it is a vibrant, lively, wonderful place for our kids to learn and for teachers to teach and for all staff to be part of and have the equipment that they need in order to do their jobs. And the last thing is that I know that money's hard, and I know that the state has made this very difficult because of the state's decision to not fund education as well as it's promised in the past. And that's put the local level, you guys, in a very difficult position because that means that it has to go under property taxes rather than other sources of revenue that don't impact this community nearly as heavily. So I understand that you guys think about this a lot. I've seen the discussions in this room and the considerations on the community, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thanks, Michelle. And then we'll invite Heather Manwaring.
Hi, thank you. I appreciated the questions earlier about the idea of reaching out to the community again. We are one of the families that has moved in more recently. And so I appreciate the suggestion of continue to reach out. It's helpful to us to hear the details of what's going on, and it's also helpful to be able to continue to have that discussion. Is this needed? On budgeting, money feels like that's one of the biggest things that we feel limited on as a government, as organizations, as individuals. But in the end, sorry that I'm like making noises, but in the end, money it's a tool. And, me and my husband, we're going through our own financial studies. And with money, you can buy anything you want, but you cannot buy everything that you want. And that concept of just the time, that it will, by not raising these taxes, it'll take a little bit more time, or maybe a lot more time. It might feel like a lot. But these are things that we all have to consider and look at, is working with our means. I've seen some of those new projects, in different areas of the community, and I can walk in and say, wow, that was a big budget. They blew a lot of money on that building for extra things like, the extra nice sinks and the extra nice, things that didn't need to happen and that came from tax dollars. So I feel like it is so important to continue to have those discussions and to continue to look at what is truly needed. What can we pace out further? What can we do with the money that's coming in? I recognize that inflation changes things. So of course this has to be a big discussion. But there's so much that we can do when we really look wisely at our resources and we really consider what's needed. My husband and I, we have a very long list of things that we would like to get and things that feel essential. And we just have to work with what we have. And we go one thing at a time. And blessings come as well. So I would request that the board does reach out and does continue the discussion with the community and that we look wisely at what we have. I don't personally think that a tax increase every year is the answer either, because I think that it is easy to have the money come in and not use it wisely. So I would request that due diligence, extra diligence be placed on how can we really be effective with what's coming in. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close our public comment portion of the meeting and go on to if the board has any discussion items or questions.
I did want to comment. I agree with the idea of revisiting our plan, our capital plan, and I would like to request the board that we consider that, to do that for the coming year. I won't take credit for that. Julie brought it up before in either the last month or the month before board meeting. So, just reiterating what Julie's already said, I think we should be looking at that and looking at different strategies. I asked that question this evening for that particular point, that to continue to raise taxes every year for the next almost decade, not even considering operational expenses and increases, to me, doesn't feel right. So I would like to look at it again as a board, if we can please do that this coming year. For tonight, it's not something I feel like we can change at this stage. This is something we have to look at for next year's budget and going forward. And so for tonight, I will be supporting the increase, even though it pains me to say that. Thanks. Clark?
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments, Kim, and thank you. I support revisiting the capital plan as well. I think that's something that we need to do on a regular basis. Circumstances have changed since 2017, certainly from an inflationary standpoint in the economy that we exist in today. So we need to revisit that consistently and regularly. And it is painful for all of us. I was part of the public during 2017. While not part of this board, I was a community council chair and a very active member of the community, and participated in many of these community outreach meetings that were held by Mr. Don Adams and Mr. Horsley at the time. And I voted in favor of this approach, which was it was kind of a hybrid approach to raise funds initially through bonding, and then institute a continuous pay-as-we-go type of a structure to continually raise money in order to address the physical facility needs that we have in our district, being the oldest district in the state of Utah, or one of, being established in the early 1900s. So it is excruciating to recognize both the need for the capital improvements and also to figure out how we're going to get there. And I do want to recognize the process that's been undertaken by Brian and by Todd, our de facto CFO and budget director, to try and stretch the dollar as far as we can get it to go. And I sit on the budget committee, and I want all of you to know on the board how much we work to stretch that dollar as far as it can go and as far as it should go. Because just like these patrons that have spoken to us tonight, I feel very similarly, because this tax impact affects me and my family and my neighbors and my community and all of us in that way. So like Kim, I reluctantly support this effort and this tax increase because the needs of our students are extreme, but it's also very painful along the way. Thank you.
And I just want to thank the citizens who participated today. Thank you for coming out and letting us hear your voice. I think it's important to hear from our people who are, maybe they don't have kids in school, or they do, and just to see our process and just to see what goes into our school budgets. It's very complicated. They're not easy budgets. I wish they were like my home budget, where I can go, I just am not going to do this, but when it comes to meeting the needs of our students, we just can't do away with a lot of things. So it's really, it makes it more complex. But I also think we should look at our capital strategy. We did talk about that today in budget meeting, where Todd had a great presentation going over our capital strategy. I think it's in our board books. So board members can access that. And I think it's worth looking at, because times have changed. It has changed since 2017. This is a new board for the most part. And I would support looking at that also as a different strategy possibly. And I will also be supporting the budget as published today.
Connie, did you have any thoughts?
I was on the board in 2017 when we went through this. A real disadvantage since that time is how expensive our homes have become. And with that added expense, it's added more money that we do take from people. And so that's something in 2017 that was not anticipated at that particular time. So I appreciate everyone's comments, and we do see the needs, the capital needs that we have in this district because of the older schools that were built in the 60s and 70s that need some kind of repair, some kind of a remodel, and many of them need to be rebuilt. But I appreciate very much the wonderful people that work on our finances and that can help us see where we go and help us understand if this is the way to continue. And I just appreciate our business people that are so willing to dig and inform us of what we need, and are willing to work with us so that we can improve the schools for our students. Thanks.
Hey, Julie, since you're online, let me just make sure if you have a comment that I get to you. Is she online still?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are, Julie.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I feel like we as a board seem to be on very much the same page, but I think we already knew that we would like to relook at this capital plan. I've been asking for that for a while. And, but I do support what we're doing with our taxes at this point. We worked really hard this year to make sure that we could make sure to meet our budget without a tax increase in operations. And I want to make sure that we note that like there have been serious efforts to look at that, and that in fact this part of the reason that we are not doing a tax increase is because some of our ongoing things we're going to pay for with one-time funds. And it's important to be able to, you know, prioritize what you're spending your money on, but we absolutely cannot take off that priority list academic achievement. Academic achievement is such a top priority because without it, our kids they won't be able to perform in the jobs that they need in order to be able to have this kinds of income that they need to survive. And so there are just so many different ways of looking at this, and as I look at what my priorities are, I think that's just the top priority. And while we are all looking, and we have already been looking and putting in a lot of effort to try and make sure that we only have programming in place that we really need. We really are working off bare bones right now. That is how I feel. And when we have 40% of our kids statewide who are at proficiency in all areas of academic success, we have to take a look at that because, you know, maybe we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we aren't going to have people who can afford, you know, a home, which is, I mean, where I think we're kind of heading and seeing people who are already experiencing this. And so I just want to make sure we're looking at this in the big picture, that it's not just about today. It's not just about this year and what check we're going to write this year. This is an economic decision that's about the future of our economy. when we look at education. So, you know, we're balancing out these temporary needs of ourselves and our own families and our neighbors with their tax bills, but we're also balancing out the long-term effects of the decisions that we're making. And we believe those long-term effects can be really big. So I will be supporting our current tax plan.
Thanks, Julie. Just briefly, I just wanted to say, I was likewise in Clark's Place in 2017 when this happened. I was serving in the PTA and on the community council, and I, as a community member, supported this. I do know that we did have some very serious talks, though, with the people who came out to our district and to our school and talked about this, and we said we want to know that if we're approving this, that we are also not going to just rebuild a school to rebuild a school. And as much as it hurts a community to close a school, we have been very good about looking and being very prudent in that money, in not keeping schools open that aren't being used fully, in making sure that we're combining some of our resources and making sure that we are using our resources in a much wiser way than we were or that we have been in the past. Having said that, I do agree with all of you. Let's make sure that we revisit this plan, and let's make sure that we have fresh eyes on it and see what we can do. It's frustrating that we have state laws that are passed that we have unfunded. These are mandates that by law we have to fund. We have to come up with the money. Somehow they don't give us the money. We have to come up with it. I appreciate, we gave you a tall order this year and said, we don't want to raise taxes for operations. Please find the money somewhere, and you did. So we recognize that and we appreciate that. This is simply a capital funding that is happening there. And we recognize that it is hard for our residents. As a resident, we all are residents ourselves, and we are going through this as well, and recognize that. And as our budgets in our own homes increase, as our needs increase, we have to pay more for gas, we have to pay more for utilities. Likewise, our budgets for the district increase, and we have to address that somehow. So I will definitely be putting this back onto in the future as an agenda item. We will look at this and we will make sure that we're on point with this plan. I do want to invite anybody who is interested, because of the way that the state law is written, our budget hearing actually happens in June. So if you guys want to come and hear what the budget is and see what we do with the money, that is because that's when they tell us we have to do it. It does happen every June in our board meeting there. And then this is the one where we have to do the truth in taxation. And it is separated by a couple months. And for whatever reason, we're not presenting the budget to you. However, that is available online, and you are welcome to visit that and look at that, and please have a conversation about that. We invite you to do that.
And just to clarify, they being the state is what requires by law for us to publish our budget by June 30th.
Thank you. Yes, the state requires us to publish our budget in June, and then we don't get to set the tax rate until after they've seen everything. So that's why we have to do the truth in taxation in August, and there is a couple months there. So with that, are there any other comments, questions? All right, we have 2 recommended actions. If you see it on your agenda, we have the adoption of the budget as published and also the set of the property tax. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the 2024-25 budget as published on the district webpage.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the 2024-2025 budget as published on the district webpage. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Julie? Julie, we didn't hear you. Did you say yes?
Did we lose her on the call? Yeah, she's gone.
Oh, she's gone.
Does she need to?
pause just a minute and see if we can get her back.
We could saunter for a minute.
We could saunter for a minute. I just want to make sure Julie has an opportunity. Oh, she said the power is out. Oh. Where I'm at, which means also she's out. She said, I don't know if this counts. She said the power is out where I'm at, which means the Wi-Fi is also out, and I'm reliant on my cell phone, which is almost out of battery. I can't plug it in. So she said, if so, I vote yes on the tax rate and have nothing to report from my committees. I'll screenshot it and send it to you, Stacey. Okay. All right. So any opposed? All right. Motion passes. And the second one, setting the property tax rate.
I'll read it. I move that we set the property tax rate to be 0.006125.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to set the property tax rate to be 0.006125. Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. We want to thank once again our public for coming. We appreciate you, and please reach out to us. We want to have a continuing discussion with you, not just a once a year. So please feel free to have this discussion with us further. She did not say anything about that, but she said on the tax rate. So I guess she didn't say the adoption of the budget. I'll ask her.
Say to any of our patrons that are here, sorry, or present, just make sure that we have the opportunity, if you have questions, to come and speak to Brian or Todd, they'd be happy to address any specific questions you might have.
Yeah, if anybody wants to, they'll step out in the hall with you and have a chat with you. So thank you. All right, we have gone through our first and second readings, so we are going to go ahead and move on to our superintendent and board reports. Turn the time over to the superintendent, Horsley.
Well, thank you. I'm going to keep this very brief this evening. I did get a text message from Dr. Nye asking how board meeting was going. And
a picture.
I thought that was fairly obnoxious, so my comment about being a dirtbag stands. So with respect to that, I just have one item. I have had the opportunity to visit with over 100 of our administrators in a check-in, and I have about 20 left, and those are trickling in now that our teachers are back in the buildings. But what incredible individuals that we have, and I can't wait to be out in our schools and visit more with our teachers as well. So some great things happening. We've got some PD opportunities over the next few days. So Leslie and I will be out, as well as some other folks. So I look forward to engaging with our wonderful employees, supporting our students in a variety of ways as they prepare for the school year. So that's all I have.
Superintendent. Since Julie's not online, Clark.
Sure, thank you. Despite some members of my family not being quite as excited as I am for the first day of school next week, I am very excited for the first day of school, for what lies ahead in the coming school year. In terms of a report from committee assignments, on behalf of the audit committee, all of the school audit reports have now been completed. I have reviewed all of them, and it's, for lack of a better word, it's great to see the accountability that each of our schools have to account for the monies that they receive, where they go, to make sure that they are spent properly and that proper approvals are in place. And that's a very active and ongoing process, and principals are actively implementing additional best practices to make sure that they are in full compliance. So with that, that concludes my report.
Thanks, Clark. Chris?
I only have one report, is our budget committee. We met today. We did talk about our capital strategy. So we're going to continue that next month. And it was brought up here by several board members that that is something we want to look at. And I think we're going to put that on the agenda coming up soon. So we did discuss that. Todd had a great presentation that we just didn't have time to get all the way through, but hopefully next month we will, and then be ready for our board meeting or study session that we discuss that. And I'm just excited for everyone to start school next week, and I just can't wait for our routine to get back in session. I'm ready for the routine. I'm ready for the kids to be back. I know our teachers and principals are excited and ready for those kids. So, thank you.
Connie?
I'm on the Parks and Recreation Committee. We didn't have a meeting in July, so next week we'll have one. Other than the county rec pass that young people or school-age children can do, that's been widely used this summer, and it's still open to register for it, and they can use the county facilities free from ages 5 to 18. They have been looking into getting it younger so that it goes to preschool and not just 5-year-olds, but we didn't meet, so I don't know if they've adjusted that age rate. And I'm on the budget committee, and it's been discussed.
District Community Council has not met over the summer, so I have nothing to report. Thank you.
We did have law and policy. I just want to make you aware that law and policy agendas, and I am assuming minutes, will also be updated from now on board books. So is that true, Doug?
Stacy?
Yeah, John. Okay. Okay, so just be aware of that so that you can get an update on that as well from now on. I mean, I'm happy to clarify or still send out an email for that, but I think it's just as easy to throw them on there, and then everybody can see it and peruse the minutes at their leisure. As far as, Connie, if you'll pass on, I think it's been really good for the Parks and Rec Committee. Just pass on the thanks. As I've taken my kids, it's been really fun to see so many kids out there enjoying that and using it, and it's gotten the kids off the couch and out from electronics and using the pass in various ways, whether it's rock climbing or the swimming pool or whatever. So the pools have been packed, jam-packed, but I think it's been a really positive thing for those kiddos. So just looking forward to the beginning of the school year. So thank you all. With that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Clark?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Anybody opposed? Clark?